Just real quick, I wanted to get, Mr. Stigler, your experience. You said you had a good experience with the SBA, but were they with you there day one when you're looking at, I assume you had a business plan. Did they go through the business plan? I was just curious of the experience that you had with the SBA, and then have you gone back for additional capital? Because one of the things I think, Dr., you said that I don't totally agree with is the idea that I think banks are getting tighter and tighter on credit, and I think we're going to have to look for vehicles like the SBA to stimulate the economy. I'm not sure you said exactly that, but I just want to get your quick analysis of, how long it took and that type of thing in 30 seconds.
I didn't use the SBA at startup or when we purchased the business. I used the SBA when I knew I was stretching myself to grow the business, to build a building, to be stable, and I just bought my building 6 months ago. So it's a recent program, but it made the difference of being able to grow and not grow, and in that case, I think it was important.
Yeah. Dr. Suru, just to wrap up with you, I want to thank you for what you're doing, because I think we need to, and this committee does, we need to really celebrate risk-taking and entrepreneurship, because that's way, in my opinion, is the way we compete with China and India. We are in a global economy, and we've got to do everything we can to embrace risk-taking. I know in Florida, the federation I headed up is 137,000 businesses. Those businesses, 99% were small business. Someday they become Google started as small business, becomes big someday. So what you're doing in your area, we have to continue to do that. Let me say this, what I heard a statistic is, out of 100 businesses a while back, the U.S. Chamber put out 100 businesses, 92 fail in 5 years, 8 succeed. What is the biggest reasons that, how can we help more businesses, if assuming only 8 out of 100 succeed in 5 years? What more can be done to, you think, the biggest challenges for people that start in business, why they fail?
We've seen a number of different issues, and they range from not having a good plan to not having a good operating plan. And many times we teach entrepreneurship. We have no shortage of brilliant ideas. I tell students all the time there's no such thing as a not good idea, but is it a good business concept? Is it a good business? And the shift from having that idea, turning it into operations, living with it, managing through it, is a skill set that needs to be taught. There are many agencies like the Small Business Administration that does provide tools and training for these individuals. I participate through the Small Business Educational Association of New England in providing some of that. So I think we have to provide them with resources. We have to provide them with go-to centers, if you will. And at some point in time, we do have to provide them with sources of short-term liquidity to help them manage through what might be difficult periods in accounts receivable or extended downturns in the economy.
And I guess that's one thing I've seen or experienced is a lot of times they run out of capital. They're always a little more optimistic. It usually takes a little longer, costs a little bit more. That's probably a big component why some don't succeed. They just kind of quite not get there and run out of capital. Is that what you've seen?
Some of that running out of capital is inefficient management of inventory or inefficient management of receivables that ultimately results in a reduction in capital. And the companies that I've worked with that have had the best success with that have had good internal management policies combined with a revolving line of credit as opposed to an extended loan.
And just the last question you touched on is how much of it is driven of the successful companies is just personality, which you touched on earlier. You didn't put a percentage on it of, let's say, 100 people go in business and why some succeed and don't, but how much of it is just the individual, he or she, that type of thing, regardless, because I've seen people with a great plan, plenty of capital, still not make it. So, but what's your thought on that?
That fire in the belly, as we call it, is essential to get the idea off and rolling and started. But one of the things that most entrepreneurs need to learn is they may be the person to start the business, but not the person to manage the business on an ongoing basis. And one of our entrepreneurs who comes in to speak at Babson College said it most eloquently, that entrepreneurship is a team activity. And finding the right team members to fill out your great idea is essential to keep the business going.